very common, I know at least for myself, just speaking for myself, over the last 6.5 years that I've been trading, I've had many moments of extreme anger and frustration at the market, thinking that the market was to blame, and being out of control, being extremely emotional, being very aggressive and very angry and feeling like I've been betrayed by the market. And now having worked with so many traders, I can see that's a very common theme for traders, this feeling of just anger and resentment and frustration towards the market. And what I wanted to do in this particular video is share where that actually comes from. Believe it or not, it has nothing to do with the market. It has everything to do with your perception, has everything to do with your expectations. And in this particular video, I'm going to share some key insights that will help you eliminate anger and frustration from the market, which will ultimately make your journey a little bit more smooth, a little bit more pleasant, and help you get to consistency quicker. Because this anger and this frustration can blind you and it can burden you and it can take away from your plan and it can spiral you out of control. So if you have the mental models that I'm going to share in this video and you implement them, you stop a lot of this anger in its tracks and you get back to your plan, you get back to consistency. Now, if it's the first time checking into the channel, first and foremost, welcome. My name is Pat Bailouni and I'm the founder of Master Your Trading Mindset, which is an education and performance coaching business. And we work with retail and institutional traders all around the world, helping them overcome their psychological challenges and helping them get funded. Now, I developed Master Your Trading Mindset after 6.5 years of experience myself as a trader. It really came from an impetus of me losing my first round of investment and realizing how important the psychology in trading is. Now, what I teach and what I share in my programs on YouTube is the synthesis of my own trading experience, working now with hundreds of traders, having thousands of traders come through my programs, consulting for education companies and prop firms. So I have a very unique angle and a very unique perspective on trading mindset, and I think you guys are going to get a lot of value from this. Now, where does anger and frustration actually come from? Well, if we have a look at the greatest philosophers, if we have a look at the greatest thinkers of our time in human behavior and psychology, there's no denying that anger and frustration come from unmet expectations. Think about it. The times you've been most angry or frustrated with an individual or with yourself is when we've had certain expectations of a certain outcome. Maybe we expected someone to be in a relationship with us or date us, or we expected someone to pay us and give us money, or we expected the market to go a certain direction. And when those things don't go to plan, that's where the anger and the frustration comes in. Why? Because the initial expectation we set is so pleasurable, and in our mind it's all pleasure. It's very nice, it's very positive. And when things don't go that way, or when we get the opposite, that's where the pain is. That's where the anger comes in. But you have to understand that it has nothing to do with the individual, it has nothing to do with the market, it has nothing to do with the external world. It has everything to do with our initial expectation that we set on that particular thing. Okay, this is really important. It has nothing to do with the external world, it has nothing to do with the market, it has everything to do with our perception of it. And this was really a hard lesson that I needed to wake up to in the markets, that it has nothing to do with the market. Ultimately, the market's a mirror and the market's going to reflect back onto you whatever's going on in your mind, but it has everything to do with our expectation, our perspective of the market. And the anger and the frustration is actually a biological response to burn you out from setting unrealistic expectations so we can learn to be present with the market. It's not a bad thing. That's a really key thing that I don't think people grasp. And it's really essential to recognize that your emotions aren't bad. The anger and the frustration are there designed to biologically burn you out so you can learn not to set unrealistic expectations. And you can learn to be present with whatever's happening in front of you. And when people really get that and they realize, you know what, that makes a lot of sense, because it does, you start to learn to be more present and your results go through the roof because you're actually listening to the market now, for example. So when we talk about anger and frustration, the way you can eliminate anger and frustration from your trading is to not set expectations on the outcome. This is the real reason I created the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, and I made it a free resource available to everybody, because it helps you go in there and identify prior to taking a trade what type of unrealistic outcome-based expectations you have on a particular position. And The tool helps you build up self-awareness before you get into that position to ensure that the decisions you're making aren't based on the outcome. They're not based on this fantasy we create about what we think is going to happen in the virtual market in our head, but the tool helps you get present with what's actually happening in the market so you can make the most informed, process-based decisions. Because ultimately, you're only going to reap consistent results as a trader if you're consistently executing on your trading plan. Now, you can't consistently execute on your trading plan and listen to the market if we're continuously creating fantasies of what we think the outcome is going to be and projecting those onto the market. Because as you guys probably know from my previous videos, we have many biases that kick in when we have an expectation. We have confirmation bias, for example. And confirmation bias means that once we have an expectation or a belief or an idea of what we think is going to happen in the market, what happens is when the market's trying to communicate information to us objectively, we only let in information that supports our belief, our idea, our expectation. We block out information that doesn't. So whenever we have those expectations or beliefs, we're not actually listening to what the market's communicating to us. We're just trying to find reasons to justify our initial belief. And we're not going to trade effectively there because the market's never wrong. And if we're not listening to what the market's trying to communicate to us and we're trying to project our ideas onto the market, we're going to get humbled. When we talk about anger and frustration, we need to drop these initial outcome-based expectations. And ideally, you're going into every single position. Now, this isn't ideal, doesn't mean it's going to happen 100% of the time, but it's something to strive towards. Ideally, you're getting into a position with the idea that I don't care if the market goes up or the market goes down. I don't care if I win or if I lose on this individual trade. All I care about is that I'm consistently and relentlessly executing on my trading plan. That's it. Now, imagine if you're going into that trade truly with that expectation or that belief. That I don't care if I win or I lose in this position. Then you can't be angry either way what happens in that position. You can't be frustrated because in your mind, you already have accepted that as an outcome. This is why I put together the visualization video of visualizing both positive and negative outcome. This is why I teach what I teach in the 12-week program, especially in week 5, on neutralizing the outcome so you can get present with the market, you can make a process-based decision, and you're not going into the market with unrealistic expectations in the outcome. So guess what? You don't have anger, you don't have frustration, because in your mind, you've already planned both outcomes and you don't have an expectation one way or the other. The only reason you'd be or feel betrayed by the market is if you had unrealistic expectations of the market and you were expecting a certain outcome and the market didn't give you that. But that's not the market betraying you. The market's just going to do what the market wants to do. We betray ourselves with our unrealistic expectations. So if you want to eliminate anger or frustration from your trading, first and foremost, realize they're not bad things. They're a necessary feedback, helping you not set unrealistic expectations before you take a trade. Use the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool for 2 months, and I promise you that will completely shift your trading and you'll start making better decisions and you'll be less emotional in your trading and you'll start to build consistency with that. And if you resonate with this particular video, make sure you check out the 12-week program. That is the complete synthesis of all my teachings, all my tools. You get all the accountability you need to actually get brain change and start thinking like a professional trader. It's the synthesis of my last 6.5 years as a trader, my studies in human behavior and psychology, working with a lot of traders, prop firms, education companies, etc. So there's a lot of value in there that will help you transform your psychology in the markets, help you get funded, help you scale funding, etc., etc. So I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Cheers.